Hello, everybody, and welcome to our virtual visit show. I'm David Mustonen, Director of Communications for the Dearborn Public Schools, and here we are, day 2 of our remote production. And joining us once again from his comfort of his home is our superintendent, Dr. Maleyko. Glenn, welcome.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Yeah, the comfort of home. I see you have a bit of a different set today, and my set is similar to the other day, other than I will say some of the things I'm wearing. I'm being equal here. I've got Fortson.
I see.
Got my Dearborn High, and of course, we don't leave out Etzel Ford. We got to be fair to all. Now, I will just put a disclaimer out that I do not promise to be equal for future shows. I may go one over another, but for today I figured, you know what, we're all working together in a positive manner, and so let's be equal and let's be fair, and congratulate all the staff from all of our schools. And again, this not only represents the 3 high schools but the 3 feeder tracks as well, so that means it's our entire district.
Awesome. Well, joining us today as well is our Director of Information Technology. I know there's a much longer title there, Troy. I'm just abbreviating a little bit, but Director Troy Patterson. Troy, thanks for joining us today. I know you're going to talk to a little bit about our remote learning that we're doing in the district, so thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. Before we get into all of that, though, just wanted to touch on a couple of things with you, Dr. Maleyko. As far as we know, the governor spoke again today. We're taping this show on Thursday, March 26th. And so the governor did speak again today. And I think really bottom line in her message was, we are under a stay-at-home order. It's not a suggestion. It's not a recommendation. It is an official order from the governor saying stay at home. And it's all about mitigating this disease and this virus and keeping those numbers down. It's not going to stop it. It's not going to eliminate it. But what it's going to do is keep our health systems from getting overwhelmed. And we really, really need to follow that and stay home. And she talked about, don't, have a dinner party of 10 people over to your house and things like that, because that really is not in the spirit, and that's really not going to help. So we really need to stay home and follow those recommendations or that order from the governor. And I know, Dr. Maleyko, you have some words about that as well, as far as how it applies to students and kids.
Sure. So I think we got to do our part. We got to look at the greater good. And I think that's why our crisis team has been meeting regularly to talk about those things. And so we can do that in our personal lives, but then in our jobs as well. So I've already initiated directives that we have a very limited number of staff that are allowed in buildings. And of course, legally, that can only be essential service workers per the governor's order. We've already gone through that and determined who those individuals may be, which means, that right now, myself included, I'm trying to stay home and not have these gatherings. Unfortunately, my family and I, we have a holiday coming up with Easter, and my family and I and friends, we celebrate that, and we've already, we're going to do our part by not having a gathering. So that's in my personal life, and it's disappointing because we won't be able to see our loved ones or families and friends in person, but it's the right thing to do, and it's following the governor's order. There's no need for us to get together. Unfortunately, there's a bigger picture. So that also goes into my job as superintendent, is then we got to look at all of our buildings and all of our fields and athletic facilities and things. And I already said, we're only allowing essential workers. So we do not allow anybody else on school property. So unfortunately, that means public as well. And so if you have a stay-at-home order, you should not be entering the field and having soccer games or other things on Dearborn Schools property. Again, we're doing it for the greater good. We're not doing it because we don't want people to get exercise and things like that. If you're playing games and you're associating, you're in close contact with individuals, then you're violating the governor's order. If you're going for a walk or a run and you're staying within the limits on sidewalks, then that's fine. My family and I are planning to do that. But so that's why we have to do our best to adhere to that to help the greater society. So we do have security guards that are regularly employed by us. They're deemed essential service workers. And so we have them going and they'll just kindly tell people that they really shouldn't be on school property for any of those things. Because again, the only authorization I have given is our essential service workers. That includes, for the food distribution. So families that are coming for food distribution, no problem. That includes our custodians and our engineers, and there may be another limited number of employees that may be considered essential according to the governor's orders. So again, I've given that directive. I've also put that out publicly. So we expect as well the community to step up and do their best, because if you've been watching the news, you've seen some of the criticism of just general citizens who maybe are not following that, and it's leading to, unfortunately, the virus spreading, and we don't want to do that.
So yeah, and I think that we understand people are kind of we're all cooped up in our homes, and with the weather breaking, this is the time of year that we normally just want to be outside because the weather turns nice. And I know the other day it was really nice, and we saw a lot of people outside, and sure, that's great. Get outside, go for a walk, go for a bike ride. Keep that social distance and things like that. I know that the governor said that's fine to do those kinds of things. We just have to limit the crowds. And if we end up with 100 people or 50 people on our playgrounds, that defeats the whole purpose. So we want people to get outside, and we understand that they want to take advantage of that nice weather, but they really shouldn't be playing on the playgrounds or using the fields or athletic facilities.
Well, on the playgrounds too is another, caution as well, because we know that the virus can live up to 72 hours on a hard surface. So we can't guarantee that those playground equipment is virus free. And
Sure.
So we would not want children, unfortunately, going onto the equipment at this point in time. In a normal situation, we encourage and we have no problem with it. But right now, for the sake of your own children, I would keep them off of that playground equipment.
Yep. So one thing that obviously everyone has been doing remotely is a lot of remote learning. And that's why we have Mr. Patterson, Troy Patterson, joining us today. I tell you, talk about a department that has stepped up in a short amount of time and just did an incredible amount of work. Our hats are off to Troy, to you, and your entire team, and everything that you have done there over in your department.
Well, thanks, David. It's really has been a team effort. It's been a team effort, not only with my direct team, but also working with the buildings, working with principals, working with teachers. These are unprecedented times. Nobody expected to be doing remote learning, but here we are. Now, we did plan on doing blended learning, where there's face-to-face learning as well as online. So you can take advantage of that. And a lot of our blended learning strategies and tools and pedagogy can be used for remote learning. So we are very fortunate in that. We've installed Moodle. We call it iLearn, and we call it MyPD because we use it for our staff as well. But we installed Moodle, over 10 years ago. And we're actually internationally recognized for the Moodle work that we've done. Chris Kenneberg was asked to keynote the speaker in Japan for the Japanese Moodle Moot. They were going to pay all of his fare. They were going to pay to have him come over there. As it turned out, he passed because of some family situations, but that turned out really well because of everything that has happened. And I've had teachers reach out to me and go, thank you so much. Thank Bob, who was a tech coach with us. Thank Bob, because I've got my class set up and we just keep going. And what that does is that gives kids a sense of normalcy. And that sense of normalcy is really important now. So they're still connecting with kids. They're still reaching out. The kids know what they're doing. They know how to do it. And we've really had a lot of teachers step up and be thrown into a situation that, they weren't really ready for. And they've really met the needs of the kids. I say these are unprecedented times. The one thing that isn't unprecedented is that the teachers are stepping up. They always have, and they always do. So we appreciate all the work that they've done. We've been supporting all of that work as well. We have tools available for teachers so that they don't have to go out and learn something new. A lot of organizations, a lot of companies are offering things free for now. And instead of the free for now model, we've gone with, hey, it's free and we support it and we're ready to go with it. So it's been a transition for some people, but we've had things like, not only students making those adjustments, but staff making those adjustments as well, because staff is going through a lot of the same things. And, Dr. Maleyko has really led the way with moving a lot of our meetings to being remote, to people connecting up. I know that he held a meeting where we had over 100 people, and everybody was far away and remote, and all of that worked pretty flawlessly. Except some people want to talk and they don't know when to talk, so we're learning a few new norms, but because of getting those things in place, it's been a relatively smooth transition, I think. The other thing that we did is we were able to loan a lot of Chromebooks out to families that may not have technology at home. So we have loaned, the last time I checked, we were over 3,300 Chromebooks that we've loaned out to families so that they can use them and continue learning, continue interacting, continue reading, continue finding good material and following up on that good material that the teachers are sharing with the kids. So it really has been a team effort. And, some of my people that a lot of students never see and teachers never see, they've just done incredible work to make sure that everything keeps working. And then again, the teachers have been tasked with just an incredible task, and they've looked at it like an opportunity, and they've really stepped up and connected to kids and given the kids a consistent, as normal of a situation as possible.
Well, can I just add in there, Troy? I just want to commend you and your entire staff and your leadership and your foresight. I remember it was back in probably, you and I go back a long ways when we were co-chairs of the technology committee in the district. And under your leadership in 13, 14, we moved to Google, and look at the benefits now from like you're saying, the online. It's just the norm. The norm is now going to become for us virtual meetings, and people are adjusting, but it's been seamless. As even my son has told me, he's heard about problems with certain platforms of not online learn, but online meetings. And we've had very little technical issues, and it's been very effective. We're meeting regularly. I think this is like my fourth or fifth online meeting, and we're doing it we're getting ready for the board meeting. And so we're not going to say everything is flawless, but the work that you've done has been outstanding in multiple areas. And there's been a lot of pressure. Like you said, we didn't expect that we're going to have to do it this quick. But I remember on Thursday night of the day before the shutdown, we were talking just that day of, you're going to have a couple of weeks to get ready for this or whatever. And then I called you. I said, Troy, that couple of weeks may have changed to tomorrow. And sure enough, it was. So you've done a great job really leading the way, and appreciate your positive outlook, given the fact that things are coming at you from multiple directions. And I think it shows. And that's one of the reasons I think Dr. Rice asked me to sit on the committee, is because of the work that you've done in our entire district. And so we'll have a seat at the table, and they appreciate the work that's going on in Dearborn. So thank you, Troy.
Yeah. And you mentioned the TAC, which is still going. And gets a lot of input from all the schools. All the schools are invited to the TAC. We have a very strong membership, and they've really helped set the pace and the tone, and they've prepared us for this. We knew digital learning was coming. We did not know it was coming this way, and at this time, but we knew it was coming. It's the the kids, the way society is moving. Digital learning is important, so we built for that. We put things in place to address that, and again, that came in handy for this, even though this is not what we anticipated at all. So,
Well,
Yeah.
Troy, I think it was. I think what's really kind of would hit home to me was when this transition was kind of happening. I believe you said, "Well, you know what? We've got teachers in this district who have been doing this now for 10 years. There are some teachers, there are over 700, I think you said, online lessons or classrooms that are already available that our teachers are doing. And it's at a variety of levels. We have 1,300 teachers. So you're going to have some who are here who have been doing
Right.
this, and some who are here who are kind of new. And I think that's really where your team has excelled in being able to work with all those levels and help them to create some meaningful lessons and meaningful remote learning for our students. And like I said, I think that's really where your team has really been able to help that all those levels work together to really develop some meaningful lessons for our students.
yeah,
And if go ahead.
I appreciate that, being in large part because we do have teachers at different levels, and it is a progression. iLearn is built where if teachers are going to they can start small, they can start easy, and then they can ramp up so that it really becomes differentiated and it really becomes student focused. And we know that that's a process, and we've been working through that process. And Amy Gwiz is our current tech coach right now, and she's just done phenomenal work in supporting the teachers and where they are. I think she's been answering email and questions, I think about 28 hours a day. I don't know how she's doing it at this point. So it's things like that. And these are things that people don't always hear about. So it is nice to hear. But again, we're here with the same vision that Glenn has established for the district. It's students first. Everything we do is focused on student learning.
And I can say I want to commend the teachers. They have really stepped up, and we see great things, as you guys see, coming into our emails every day. I have parents that are positive messaging me about, thank you for the Chromebook. Oh, look at what my teacher did. And they're sending me YouTube videos of what their children are doing in the houses. And they're just very appreciative of the work that our outstanding teachers, and we do trust in our teachers. We believe that they're going to do the right things, and they are stepping up, and they are at different levels. But you know what? We know that they have the best interests of their students at heart. And that's why we want to give them the tools to use, but we also want to continue to allow them to have that creativity to diversify their instruction, whether that be online or in person. And right now I see that diversification of instruction going on with a great deal of creativity. And I can tell you that, parents are appreciative. And so, what comment I wanted to make too is to thank them, but also just for the public to say out there is any of the learning that it doesn't matter what the state comes up with or what the federal or what the federal government does or what the governor does as far as instructional hours. Those are all funding issues that will be sorted out. Any kind of learning your child is engaged in counts because it's helping your child. I have children as well, and I have to do the same thing as a parent. And I don't, the reality is whether it counts as a specific grade or not, I want them to do things that are going to advance their learning. I'm a hockey coach, and if I just shut down practicing for months, what's going to happen when I come back to the season? I've got to stay in shape and stay, working out and doing the things to make sure that I'm competitive when I get there. And the same goes for reading and learning and math. So everything counts. It counts for the individual so that they will be successful in life, irregardless of whether it's a yes or no on a paper or a grade. Everything counts. And I think that should be the message that we give. And that's the message I'm giving to my own two children. I expect you're going to be reading and doing the work, regardless of whether or not there's a grade or anything associated, depending on what the state does. So, that's where the online learning is allowing for those extensions and for that learning to continue in the household. And we also know that not everyone has the same ability to do that given their online capability or their hardware. And so that's why we appreciate the Chromebook distribution that came with messages of how to get some online capabilities. So again, thank you to all the parents out there who are right now acting as teachers as well in the home. I know I am for my own 2 children. So we appreciate the parents.
Absolutely. Team effort, parents, teachers, everybody involved. And we've seen a lot of that stepping up. Troy, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule to chat with us today. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. And Glenn, once again, another good show and a lot of good information out there. We want to remind everybody that through the governor's order, we are closed through April 13th and with a scheduled return date of April 14th. Now, that's all subject to change. We'll see what happens. We do have a spring break in there, right, Glenn? The April 6th through the 10th is spring break. And
Correct.
So what's going to happen during that spring break?
So that would be, we're going to consider that, you follow the governor's order, but that would be like a week off for online learning and things. Now you can still continue with it, but don't necessarily expect that teachers will be communicating every day. So that we're going to consider that a break. Everyone can get a break. Everyone's been under stress the last several weeks to a month plus. And so that'll be, I think, a nice time to unwind. We also have the holiday on the Friday, which is actually, some of us observe Good Friday, some may not, but regardless, it's a holiday that the entire district is shut down. And so once we get into food distribution schedules, we'll also print those schedules at the appropriate time as well. We will still continue to provide food during that week, even though we normally don't, but just given the crisis, we feel like it is the right thing to do. So that'll be one thing we continue to do. But generally, principals and or teachers may not be in direct contact as they may have been traveling and, during the other spring breaks. Unfortunately, they can't do that now. So right now we might just give them a little bit of time off to spend with their families.
Great. Perfect. And again, still very fluid. We're, every day things change. We kind of are sitting and waiting. We're doing what we can now to keep things as routine as possible and to keep those routines in place. And we will then, once the state gives further direction, I think it all depends on how well people follow this order and remain sheltered in place so that we can see that curve drop and we can flatten that curve. And once that happens, then we'll have more information and we'll be able to let people know where we're going in the weeks and months ahead.
Absolutely. Yep. Well said. So just so you know, too, I'm going to be meeting virtually with my student advisory council soon. So maybe we'll get a special guest student coming up in maybe a future episode.
Well, that'd be great. We look forward to that. Glenn, thanks a lot for taking time.
You.
I know you have a very busy schedule as well. So appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat here with us. And probably we'll be back next week again, right?
Correct. Back next week. We'll be broadcasting a couple times a week until further notice.
Okay. Unless something breaking were to happen.
Sure.
Come back, we could do a special show. But for otherwise, probably next week is when we'll be joining everybody again. And just wanted to thank all of you for all the cooperation and all the patience and all the support that we've seen going on throughout our entire community. I cannot say thank you enough. I know Glenn and the entire board
thank you.
appreciates all of that so much. And until next time, until we meet again, thanks a lot for stopping by.
Thank you.